And we're welcoming everyone back to the show. And so literally just a complete crash. So just starting from semi-scratch again. Hi. Yeah, just got one of those, on the Mac, it's often the spinning beach ball of death. On the PC, it's just that big blue screen with the frown. You know that one? Yeah. I'm not a big fan, but hey, if you're going to have an amazing live stream like this, stuff like that's going to happen. They're going to try and shut you down. Please refresh your screen, share everybody, let everybody know we're back, and I will get on with it as if, and if you need to roll back and see this, hi chat room, hello, thank you guys for being patient in that regard. As the deep state and the Illuminati try to take me down, they won't be able to. I mean, it's adorable that they even try, After all, I am the deep state. I'm Hal Sparks. This is Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. Let's go. So where were we? Oh, yes. Captain Brainworm was talking to his sponsor. All right. This is, here we go. This is Dr. Phil Mackrakin talking to, the man behind the bear cub death mystery in Central Park in 2005? Yeah.
Your campaign and your life, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a difficult day and many.
Also, that real quick, I know it's since I had to restart anyways, I can afford to point this out. What you're going to see when they cut to him and then they cut back to Dr. Phil and then they cut back, that is an insert. Dr. Phil was looking at probably a light stand or something like that, specifically so they could have something to cut to, and they cut around his answer. So they shortened this by throwing in a rando shot of Dr. Phil just staring in one direction. Watch.
Yeah, it's a difficult day.
See, from a totally different moment in the video. If quite frankly, they probably shot it before Kennedy entered or after.
In many respects, but I feel like I'm on the right path.
Why would you feel that? I gotta say, look, I love turd polishing as much as the next guy. Let me tell you, it's like if I had an early career, it could be described as such. But on the day you have to shut your campaign down because A, you're not raising any money, and the only money you're raising it from is from your millionaire partner who is fucking bananas. Not literally, figuratively. And I feel like I have to say that because it might be, his next one might be, when you have to shut down and then endorse a guy who you and the guy's own running mate referred to as, as authoritarian, almost Hitler. Probably the single worst environmental president we've ever had, including people who had no idea they were doing damage to the environment. So
you had, I think, close to, if not over 1 million people on your live stream.
Yeah, 950,000 of them were reporters.
For your press conference, and for anybody that is under a rock, you have suspended your campaign. You haven't dropped out of the campaign, you've suspended your campaign. Mm-hmm. How difficult?
Yeah, it's not fully suspended. It's got detention for the next week, and if it gets its grades up, it'll be able to play football by the spring.
Was this decision?
It was difficult. I mean, all of us, the people, kind of the inner circle who were involved in the decision. I think everybody in that circle went back, did 180-degree turns maybe 15 times the last 2 weeks trying to figure.
Okay. This is the kind of thing you want to hear from a leader. If Dr. Phil hadn't done this interview, we wouldn't have this moment. So thank you, Dr. Phil, for asking a kind of run-of-the-mill question to this dipshit and getting this. So let me explain this to folks who are listening. He and everybody in his inner circle on the campaign was flip-flopping on whether or not they should get in or get out, going 180 degrees every 15 times in 2 weeks. All day long, every day. Everyone's like, do we quit? Do we get out? We got to get out. No, we can't. We must. We can't. We must. We can't. We must. And this is the kind of people this asshole surrounds him with. And if he had ever had a cabinet, That's who would be in there. And a guy who makes those kind of shitty decisions about his inner circle, his campaign staff, and his own personal decision-making ability is now joining Donald Trump, another vacillating dipshit windmill politician. Just to clarify how awful that is, even though it's just some of this stuff, I guess people just watch it roll right by because there's so much other crazy.
Figure out what we can do, but ultimately it was clear to me that because of the media censorship, because I was not going to be allowed on a debating stage, that I didn't really have it.
You didn't earn your way onto the debating stage. Trump didn't want you on the debating stage.
Path to victory. So my choice was, am I going to spend the next 77 days, rallying the troops and getting more money out of the donors without being able to offer them a path to victory?
Which is, again, that's Trump's business model.
I think that would have sucked my soul out.
Well, what's left of it, I suppose.
And then, I had this interesting series of meetings with President Trump, in which he really surprised me by strongly endorsing the mission for his presidency, saying that he wanted his legacy to end the chronic disease epidemic.
Bullshit. Never happened. Nonsense. What he said to Trump was, this could be your legacy to end the chronic disease in our country. And Trump went, yeah, whatever gets you on the team because you're stealing votes from me. That's what he means. Like he just said all these things and Trump just agreed with it because he knew this asshole is taking votes from him and he was supposed to take votes from Biden and Harris and he's not. That's what that was. I'm telling you.
In this country, and that's been my central mission for the past 20 years.
Nonsense.
Is addressing that issue. What's happening to our kids? We have the sickest children in the world.
No, we don't. We don't. We have the most clinically tested. Listen to your future boss. If we didn't test so much, we wouldn't have COVID. Well, one of the reasons why the United States has the sickest kids in the world, partly, is because we test for everything. We're on the forefront of testing for everything. Let me ask you something. Would you rather have a sick kid here, even poor, or a sick kid in Somalia or Sudan or Darfur or fucking the Middle East and be the wrong Arab? Real quick, just run me through that. And do you think anybody's bothering to fucking check? This asshole, for the record, believes the Chinese death toll numbers about COVID. He still thinks we had the most deaths. He actually believes that. He's that fucking stupid, or that big of a liar, because I don't know how you could, but he alleges that he does. Right. Yeah, who does need the CDC? Also, I'd like to remind him that Trump wants to get rid of the FDA. That's part of Project 2025. It's part of what, Trump agrees with. I want clean water and clean air. I just don't want to do anything that contributes to it. Let the states work out who has clean water and clean air. Hear that, Virginia? Or hear that, Kentucky? If West Virginia wants to fill your streams with coal, dust, a fine coal powder that can get into your system, who are you to say? That's your ass for living downstream.
When I was a kid, about 6% of American children had chronic disease. Today, it's 60%.
No, it isn't. And also, no, it wasn't. Back then, they didn't know. How means the EPA? No, I mean the FDA, too. The Food and Drug Administration. He's talking about chronic disease in food and stuff. He gets into that. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Yes, the EPA they want to get rid of as well. But the FDA, he believes that it's the food we eat. I'll let him show you, but it's horseshit.
And these are in basically major categories like neurological illnesses, which is ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, autism,
Yeah, no, 60% of American children do not have those. The children that do have them have most of them, because there's a lot of overlapping diagnoses. But you know what they used to call those things? Dumb. They used to call it retarded. And it was a giant category, and they all went away. Right? Does he think like what we call autism didn't exist until the modern era? Dude, they used to think deaf kids were mentally retarded. They would categorize, and if that word bothers you, I'm using the legit word from that time to make the point about that time. Right.
Autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and juvenile diabetes, and then the allergic diseases like peanut allergies and food allergies and eczema, and all of these appeared in the mid-1980s. So,
No, they started getting treated and recognized. Before that, you just lived with it. Before that, it was a rash. Eczema was a rash. You had recurring rashes. That was that. They didn't fucking have anything to do about it. You had salve you put on it. They didn't even know there was a dietary link to it. Again, we make advances in discrimination between certain diseases, going, okay, consumption is not just this big catch-all phrase for everything that makes you fucking cough yourself to death. Some of it's bacterial. Sometimes you mean cancer. Sometimes it's an injury that's become an internal infection, right? But back then it was just consumption. Just lay on a couch and cough yourself to death. Good Lord.
I never saw anybody with any of these diseases when I was a kid.
Yeah, most of them just died. It was called SIDS. They didn't get past the point. They didn't test for stuff. Kids just died young.
I grew up in the 50s, and these weren't issues.
They weren't issues. You had 4 kids, then you had 3. Wasn't an issue. You made another kid. If it wasn't a keeper, you sent it to the home.
Issues. You didn't know anybody who had diabetes. You certainly did not know anybody who had autism. And now...
Okay, they just didn't call it fucking diabetes back then. Look, do we have an obesity problem in this country? Yes. Is it from the stuff in our food or the volume available to the average person? Because I guarantee you, every king for about 1,500 years had diabetes. Because they were the ones who had the most food available to them, and they ate as much as they could get.
Or peanut allergies.
Or peanut allergies.
Also, again, peanut allergies has a lot to do with the mechanics of growing them. It's more the shells that are part of the allergy itself, and now they're treating it. By the way, I don't know about you, but like, there's definitely kids being treated, and you've got stuff in case somebody has an allergy, and they ask people about it, which is good. But now the treatments are available to everybody. And again, before, they just died. And you never knew why. Nobody knew what they thought they choked on the peanut. And it's largely, like, there's a lot of argument about where the peanut allergy comes from. A lot of people, the root of it seems to be a fungus that grows on the shells that they have not been able to extract. And that's what caused a lot of it. Right. But a lot of kids outgrow it if they live long enough.
In fact, Congress asked the EPA, tell us what year these...
I'd also like to think about when he was a kid, the access to peanut butter, for real. Right? Because when I was a kid, peanut butter was a staple, right? Like the Jiffy ads and all that kind of, the Jif ads and all that stuff, like that was a regular thing. But you go back 10, 15 years, it just wasn't as available. As peanut butter became more ubiquitous, the issues that go with it expanded.
Epidemics began. EPA scientists came back and said it's a red line 1985. That gives us a hint about the culprits, because we know it's not a genetic that genetic injury, genes don't cause epidemics. They may provide the vulnerability, but you need an environmental exposure, an environmental toxin.
No, we didn't start. There wasn't a red line where we started having epidemics in 1985. You absolute asshole. Like, how do you even do tuberculosis, Spanish flu, the Black Plague? What the fuck are you talking about?
And so something happened in our kids around that at that time, and it's probably a lot of different exposures. The collapse of our food system, the industrialization of our food system, etc.
You and I have talked before, and I've learned so much.
Etc. I think that's my favorite. Yeah, I think that's my favorite. Yeah. Etc. I mean, I don't know why I expect more information. Etc. should do the job. Etc. This fucking asshole.
About you, and so how deeply convicted you are about these things. And
no. Oh, no. Look, I have met some timeshare salesmen who seem deeply convicted about timeshares. It's the greatest thing, and you don't have to be there all the time. You share it, you just get it, when you need it. You don't have to pay for it, and there's all the maintenance is taken care of, and you don't have to clean the gutters, and you can go down to fabulous vacation spots. And once you get one, you can get another one and another one, and you could be like a world traveler, like only the rich can live. They're very convinced until the bottom falls out, and then they're like, "Have you thought about gold and silver?" It's sales, fuckwad.
I tried to help millions of others that might not know how deeply convicted you are. I think we made a lot of progress in that regard. And I know that you're deciding to...
Wait a minute. Dr. Phil is trying to help lots of people to understand how convicted to these issues, his convictions around these issues, I think is where he's going. RFK Jr. is, because RFK Jr. can't explain it. All right. Basically, you're trying to sell what he's selling, and you're having some progress. I don't know what the fuck.
To run, and conducting this campaign came at a very high price to you personally, family-wise, professionally. And now as we sit here, I have to ask...
Why? Why did it come at a huge professional cost? I got to be honest, I think it affects his wife more than it affects him.
If you knew then what you know now...
Which is that you're going to quit, throw everything behind Donald Trump to try and get in his cabinet, and that... It's, the votes for you will break 60-40, where some people will go back to Kamala Harris and the rest of them will tell you to go fuck yourself. If you knew this day was coming, and you knew you were wasting everyone's money and time and bullshitting everyone, and the bear story would come up, and people would get you on tape saying that COVID curiously doesn't affect Jews and Chinese people, which it absolutely fucking does. And people would get you on tape saying that at a gathering of other people. Would you still do it?
Would you have done this?
Yeah, I would have.
I think it's very important that people know that the Jews and the Chinese are in cahoots to create COVID.
I mean, I think it's been costly to me and it's been costly to my family, but I think I've advanced.
Why? First of all, leave his kids out of it. I don't care. I don't know. Cheryl Hines, as far as, he's made her look like an asshole. Like there's an interview with the two of them where she's like, it would be calls for divorce if he gives up and joins Trump, right? And here he is.
Answer the issues in a way that is going to be helpful to people over the long run. The major issues that I've been talking about, the censorship, the addiction to war, particularly the Ukraine war.
What do you, again, this is so fucking odd. Now, I feel like I would be looking at him the way Dr. Phil is, but I think Dr. Phil is just passing out or passing gas. Honestly, it looks like he's doing a one-cheek sneak. But I find it very odd how angry these folks are, especially people like him, are about Ukraine, and that it's at that high a list instead of just in general, like our involvement in supporting, militaristically supporting it. And why wouldn't it be everything? Why wouldn't it be Israel and Ukraine and UN peacekeeping stuff and our base in Germany and all of that shit? Why wouldn't you want to? I mean, you're either a non-interventionist or you're specifically a non-interventionist on this particular thing, which in the case of an aggressor, if you are a non-interventionist, you are automatically default on the side of the aggressor. If you have the ability to help and you choose not to, you are on the side of the aggressor. So he is on the side of Russia in this. Period. Why is a huge fucking question.
And then most of all, the chronic disease epidemic. And I think,
Notice how he looks down when he starts talking. And most of all, the chronic disease epidemic. First of all, that's all for show. It's bullshit. And it's just his way of getting, laying his way across the country, fucking all these upset, MILFs that think vaccines cause autism.
It gave me a platform to talk about those issues, and a lot more people are aware of them now, and a lot more.
That's Trump does that a lot. Like, if I hadn't been a racist prick, people wouldn't even be talking about racism right now.
It's part of the national conversation, which it was not 16 months ago.
Yeah,
Again, all of these were so weird. Like, you're running against the guy who wants to repeal the ACA. Fuck you about chronic disease.
I think people on the outside looking in don't realize what a sacrifice it is to make the decision you made. I mean,
it is. I think we're all brokenhearted about it, and I'm having a hard time on your behalf. And I feel like I'm gonna cry because you can't. That's where I want. That's what I think it should be for myself. Myself is trying to do.
it's what a 16-hour day is like a light day. It's like, well, why get dressed if you're only going to do 16 hours, right?
I don't think he knows what you're talking about. Also, I think he's slightly offended, and he might bite you. I think he's slightly offended that you think he doesn't do 16-hour days the rest of the time. On everything. I'm a go-getter.
And it's day after day after day. And then you decide to do what you did today. Why now? Was there a reason you did it today instead of 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks down the road?
It was just a confluence of events. I actually would have rather done it a little later.
Yeah, you could bring that makes sense. If I had a choice to drop out, I would have rather continue wasting people's money. How does that make any fucking sense? It is a fait accompli. You know you're going to drop out. If I was going to drop out, if I had my choice of dropping out, I would drop out in a couple of more weeks so I could spend more of the donor's money not doing anything. Why do you think you could have leveraged your deal with Trump? Maybe put a little more pressure on him, get a little closer to the election, scare him a little more with the votes you're stealing?
I finished writing my speech today at 11:10, and the press conference started at 11, and I was 30 minutes away. So I was 45 minutes late for the conference because, I had only had really 24 hours to write my statement.
Did you guys get any of that? So his whole staff's been back and forth, my sister, my daughter, about whether they should drop out, stay in. I'll stay in, I'll drop out, I'll stay in, and I'll drop out. And, oh, God, I can't. Right? And then, so he finally decides to. He's only got 24 hours. Then he's a half hour late, and he took him 10 minutes. It was still writing his speech 10 minutes after the thing had started when he'd only had 24 hours to write whatever he said. Hey, sorry. At some point, some asshole somewhere wanted this dickhead in charge of shit that matters.
So I would have
forget it, Hal. It's Bobby Town, right?
preferred to do it under a more relaxed regimen, but
Well, you work well under pressure, though.
I work well.
Whatever made you think that?
We have a team that works well under pressure, and
No, you don't. You just said everybody on your fucking team for the last 2 weeks is like, we gotta drop out. We can't drop out. We must pay the rent. You can't pay the rent. I'll pay the rent. I'm just kidding. Drop out. No.
President Trump's staff had a whole series of other needs, and we basically
What? So you dropped out because President Trump's, former President Trump, and never to be again, listen to that shit again. What the fuck? So you were in a hurry to drop out because Trump's campaign had certain needs.
under pressure, and President Trump's staff had a whole series of other needs, and we basically
once he says basically, he thinks he said too much. Basically is his bailout word.
we coalesced around their schedule.
You coalesced around their schedule. What do you mean? They wanted to, they insisted that they announce you on stage, and they already got the pyrotechnics for the Phoenix gathering, and you're like, come down here, drop out, and we'll let you walk on stage with fucking fireworks. Is that it?
And I was with President Trump this morning, interviewed him in Las Vegas.
Isn't that the same place the other dude interviewed him, where he had the two mics up, remember? Where he's sinking into the chair? Did he just, maybe this might be Trump Tower, and he's doing it in the suite, and he brought people up there, and this is just his view. That might make sense. I can't tell from where this is because I've never been up in that fucking building before. It feels like it's facing the wrong direction. But no, the building, he might be in Trump Tower.
And then I headed this way. He's not far behind me. And one of the things that I asked him was about you and what you were going to have to say today. And he had a comment about that for the record, and I wanted to share it with you and get your comments about that. RFK Jr. has offered his support to...
Oh, real quick. We'll get to what he plays for him in a second. Because I know RFK Jr. has vocal paralysis. It's why I don't really do his voice except to convey that he is speaking sometimes. Like, I always feel weird about doing his voice because I'm not mocking his voice. He's got vocal paralysis. His voice, and it runs in his family. There are other people in the Kennedy family who have the same vocal paralysis problem. It's like one of your vocal cords doesn't move, doesn't extend. It just stays still. It's like it's stuck. And the other one moves, so it's scratchy, and you can only manipulate your pitch and stuff using one of them. Yeah, his sister has it. It's very telling, and it sounds very similar across the board, okay? But it also seems like he's got tardive dyskinesia, which is, for those of you who don't know, is grandma bobblehead syndrome. It's what Katharine Hepburn had, you old poop, that one. Watch when he starts looking at the video.
Share it with you and get your comment.
Sorry, hold on. Damn, now I feel like an asshole for making fun of him. Yeah, his voice is difficult, but it's genetic. It'd be one thing if he ruined it, like if he had a smoker's voice, because you can almost say, well, there's a level of personal responsibility, so I'll make fun of you for talking like that, but But just say it. But watch his face.
Comments about that. RFK Jr. has offered his support to you and your campaign.
He's not nodding. His head's shaking.
How do you feel about that?
I'm very honored by it. He's a very smart guy, a different kind of a guy.
A different kind of a guy.
but very smart, loves our country, has some, I think, very good views on a lot of different things.
Which ones would that be? On are we talking vaccines or whale transportation?
And I've known him for a long time. We've been somewhat friendly, actually.
Yeah, you're both on the Epstein logs.
And I think he's going to be a great asset. I think he adds a lot to the election. He's got a good following, tremendous following.
Yeah, that's what this is really about. He's got a good following of people that used to vote for me and aren't now.
I think he adds a lot to the election, and I think he adds a lot to if we win. I mean, he's got some very interesting ideas and good ideas. I think he'll be a fantastic and influential person in terms of getting this country back on track. I think
just gibberish, just like average blather. By the way, I would like to, this is like generic Trump. This is the same shit Trump says about people that he has when he has no idea who you're talking about. Just for the record, when Trump is in a situation where somebody goes, "What do you think about Congressman Smith?" Oh, he's a good guy. He's got some great ideas about some great stuff, and some of his ideas, are a little bit different, but we get along, and he loves our country, and he supports me, and he's got a big audience, and that's what matters. Like, it's the same shit.
if we win, I think he can be very valuable to the country, and I think he can also
If we lose, fuck him.
help us build up the margins.
Will he have a role in your administration? He's a very experienced trial lawyer.
He is.
He's tried a lot of large cases.
Yeah. Environmental cases. Hey, Dr. Phil, be real careful not to say he's tried a lot of like environmental cases, because they won't be doing any of those. They're not going to sue polluters in the Trump administration ever. No, notice he doesn't even mention the type of trial he's even talking about.
A lot of it environmental. So
there he goes.
He might
A lot of it environmental.
play a role
All of it.
environmentally. He might play a role as Attorney General. There's a lot of things he could offer
Attorney General.
to the administration.
That's true. No, he's a very smart guy, and
But you welcome him.
I do.
You welcome his support.
He's a very smart guy. That's all it is.
Well, number one, I've known him a long time,
Right.
and I've always had a good relationship. I mean, we're sort of on opposite sides of some issues,
Like the environment.
but I've always had a good relationship with him, and I'm very honored by his support.
Well, I've spoken to him about you in the past, and he's always spoken of you with a great deal of respect. Even though you guys have been campaigning against each other,
Yeah.
he's always spoken of you with a great deal of respect.
No, he hasn't. He sounded. He was a little bit lighter on Trump than J.D. Vance used to be, but not by much.
What's your reaction to his comments?
I think he's accurate. We've known each other for a long time. In fact, I've litigated against him. I've sued him a couple of times on golf courses that he was building, or he was trying to build up in the New York State reservoir watershed, and I was suing to keep them from being built. But even during that time when I was litigating against him, he ended up giving me a ride to.
By the way, there's an edit there. Real quick. I just want to point something out. There's an edit. Listen to the cut in the voice when he's talking.
Even during that time when I was litigating against him, he ended up giving me a ride.
Right before he ended up giving me a ride.
But even during that time when I was litigating against him, he ended up giving me a ride to Florida on his.
Did you hear that? Yeah, that's an edit. That's them taking out some of the details they either thought were irrelevant, too long, or problematic. Also, that's why they cut to his back when that happens. This happens a lot. You can watch this in all interviews. This is part of my criticism of the structure of the interview, which also falls well within fair use, Dr. Phil's people.
Time when I was litigating against him, he ended up giving me a ride to Florida on his plane. So, and we were friendly, and we had a great time and a lot of.
Yeah, he was trying to manipulate and bullshit you. He flew you to Florida. Who else? Who lived less than 4 minutes away from Mar-a-Lago at that time, who you also flew with. It was Hefe Eppelstein. I'll remember later.
Laughs. He's a very congenial, amiable, interesting guy, and very warm.
Do you foresee
It's cold. Yes, it can be cold on the airplane, and he lets you sit on his lap. I guess.
pushing your agenda forward, maybe as part of that administration?
Asshole, you just asked Trump that, and he didn't say so. You just asked him. It's the same fucking day. It's not even his. He's not even allowed to. The other guy gets to make the decision. All right,
Is that
whatever.
a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. We talked about his commitment to chronic disease. It's one of the things that brought us together.
Oh, believe me, Trump is committed to chronic disease. He's all in. Not in the way you think.
A couple of hours after the assassination attempt, Phil, I got a call from Callie Means, who's kind of the leading advocate in the country against chronic disease and for.
Okay, also, he's told this story multiple times. I don't know why. I don't know why this is the bridge point. And it sounds, when he talks about it, hinky as fuck. If Alex Jones wasn't such a Trump taint sucker, I gotta say, it would seem like he would be all over this thing. Wait a minute. The guy whose uncle and father were killed by the Russians, more than likely, or some intricate blah blah, whatever the conspiracy du jour that he actually believes at that time, is right after Trump, somebody tries to assassinate him. Strangely, someone connected calls him and sets up a magic meeting wherein he quits and joins the campaign. Like, it sounds like everybody's on orders from Russia. Yeah? It may be dumber than that. It may just be that, like, oh, fuck, we're in trouble. Well, I got to give him some good news, and he's worried about this, so I'll bring him on board. That very well may be it. But the fact that he tells this story over and over again in the exact same way is what makes it sketchy.
Against processed food.
Also, by the way, share the show out. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. For our patrons, tomorrow night, Flappers live stream. And if you're in the area, you can come live and bring a guest if you're a Patreon subscriber, because that's how I roll.
Food, which is really poisoning our children. He's been advising me for a long time and consulting with me. And he called me that night and he said that he was also advising President Trump on this
Right, because he's a QAnon.
issue, which made me happy that President Trump even, knew about this issue. And he asked if I'd be willing to talk to President Trump, and I said yes, and President Trump then called me.
2 hours after the assassination attempt, he's calling RFK Jr. and trying to bring him into his administration, or toying with the idea, or at least flirting with him to try and get him to step down. 2 hours after that. That's not weird timing. Like, maybe the weekend, like, what was the fucking rush? I'm just saying, this part of it seems really fucking odd.
A little while later, and then we ended up meeting with each other the following day, and then doing a series of meetings.
Like, that happened fucking fast. That escalated quickly.
And a lot of that time we spent talking about the Ukraine war, about
That makes it even more sketchy.
dismantling this addiction that we have to foreign wars.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. Donald Trump, somebody takes a shot at him, a Republican, and one of his first reactions, instead of to go home and heal up, spend time with his family, talk with his running mate, talk with his campaign, work on what they're going to do, blah, 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 is to call this asshole and talk about how we're going to help stop Ukraine. We're going to stop protecting them, stop helping them fight back against Russia. That was the primary point of their conversation when his buddy that's, his QAnon fucking ivermectin pal calls.
But also talking about the chronic disease epidemic.
Yeah, that got in there too. I mean, yeah.
And, President Trump said that he wanted that as his legacy.
No, you said this could be a part of your legacy, and he said, yeah, totally. Fuck off. This is just ego. By the way, chat room, just real quick, if I may. Just give me in the chat room, let me know, does this sound as hinky to you, this whole story and the timeline of it? Does this seem as weird to you as it does to me? Like, I'm not fully tinfoil hat on it. I gotta say, because a good portion of the people involved in this, Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. especially, are idiots. They're disconnected from reality. They live in an ego bubble that most of us couldn't even perceive. But I gotta say, the timeline of it is really bizarre. Really odd. Really, and favors Russia so much, it's giving me, flashbacks to 2016. Like, I got to try to, you got to get out now because, they're going to kill me and you and you're next. And they're going to put these people in if we don't, get our shit together. If I don't win and you got to be on this, I'm going to, even if it's just like, if you don't get out now, we're going to fucking kill you. Like whatever that argument is or that understanding was, all of it seems hinky as shit. What's a Jill Stein to do? Exactly. Well, she's got her role to play, but she's definitely an outsider. If she goes anywhere near either one of them, she fucks up her whole campaign. She can't bullshit progressives if the way RFK Jr. did.
Solve it. So, I'll do anything that I can to make sure that happens.
You'll do anything you can to make sure that we stop supporting Ukraine after they were attacked by Russia. That's your primary point of conversation.
Having gotten to know you as I have the feeling that you feel a sense of commitment to your supporters and to your...
Do you feel that? You have a feeling that you feel? Phil? Dr. Phil, you have a feeling that he feels a certain way, Dr. Phil?
Your donors and the things that they've supported and continued to. I can't imagine you telling them that journey or fight is over. You're going to continue to push those issues, and part of the way to do that might be through the administration, or it could be in other ways, but there's no way you're going to let up on the things that you've been espousing. I heard you in your press conference thanking them for their support. And
yeah, and it's so weird, Dr. Phil. Thanks for bringing that up. It's so odd when somebody who's running for president, when they drop out to thank their supporters and say, we're still going to fight for what we've been fighting for. I've never heard anybody except everybody say that. I'm dead. I'm dead serious. This is exactly what everyone who drops out says. Everyone. It's exactly the same conversation. Why is he special?
Letting them know that's not over. You're continuing those same agendas, those same priorities. That's
right. Yeah. You could say this to fucking Amy Klobuchar or fucking Nikki Haley or, you know what I mean? You could say this to fucking Rick Santorum and they give you the same fucking answer. They probably said the exact same words.
Still important to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to use my own resources, my energies and talents, as long as I can. This is, to me, the most important issue in our country today because we have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world, and it's...
No, we don't. We spend more time on it because we have more resources to spend on it. Other countries don't fucking bother to deal with a lot of chronic illness because it mostly happens when you're old, and they don't give a fuck. The highest populated countries in the world don't have end-of-life care. You just get old, break down, and die.
It's destroying us. It's $4.3 trillion a year. It's costing our country 5 times the military budget. When my uncle was president, the medical expenditures on chronic disease were 0.
Bullshit. I mean, that's just, like, that's beyond nonsense. The idea that no one was getting treatment for chronic disease is absurd. It was just all out of pocket, you dumb motherfucker. And if you didn't have it, tough shit. The government didn't pick it up. People just died.
Today, it's 95% of our healthcare expenditure.
No, it isn't.
It's sinking our country.
Also, no, it isn't. And by the way, when he's talking about that, he means like Social Security. He means Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, because mostly that covers all the people who get kicked off of insurance. So, and the people who get kicked off of insurance, or who did before the ACA, those people are the ones with chronic disease because they outrun how much, their insurance maxes out when they're 21 or 23 or whatever, and they're just fucked. So the government picks up the rest of it because we're not a cruel fucking nation. And this asshole is now running with the guy who wants to repeal the ACA, which has protections against people with, getting kicked off of their insurance because of pre-existing conditions. And there is no fix in any of Trump's plans. He just says he's going to fix it, has no idea how, and will ultimately go, we'll leave it up to the states whether they want to protect people with pre-existing conditions.
And we're getting sicker and sicker. We're paying twice what Europeans do for healthcare. We have the worst healthcare outcomes in the world.
No, we don't. This is also blather. European nations are not all created equal. And there are a bunch of Eastern European nations that are full of fucking alcoholics and kind of shit that weigh against the averages of people in fucking the Mediterranean, where they eat Mediterranean diet, some areas in fucking Italy where, people live a bit longer. But a big portion of these people just fucking die. They don't bother to track it. Quite frankly, a lot of what European countries have is just the resigning to old age. They're not attached to trying to stay alive. So don't spend the money on it. You don't bother. Your knees hurt, they just hurt. Fuck it. If you can't go upstairs, either somebody carries you or you live downstairs for the rest of your life. We do all the work on it. It's why most of the pharmaceutical drugs come from here. It's because we insist on treating these things. We don't take it for granted that you should have to live with this shit. Most of it works. Some of it doesn't. Oh, Tulsi is warming up what's left of the crowd. Hold on. Okay, that's him. Is Trump coming out? Did he actually come out? Oh, yeah. Is he still? Okay, so I think that's him coming up, and then is she coming in there after? Nope. Hold on. Oh, this is wait. Okay, so did he do this little town hall thing before he came? No, this is him coming out of. Okay, so it's the same thing. So this is the town hall. It's the both of these. So let's see.
USA, USA. We love our country. We love our country, don't we? It's amazing.
I love it. We love our country. It's so good. It's in decline, though. It's a shithole, really. You can't go down the street and buy bread without being murdered, but we love you can't buy a house. Everybody's poor, broke, and everybody has tetanus. But we love our country. We love it. It's so great. And it's going to be great. It was never great, but it's going to be great again. But it might be great. It was only great for about 3 years.
And it's a great country, but we have to take it back.
We have to take it back to 1825 when things were really slamming.
Because
we can't do this AI stuff. We can't do it.
Our country's not feeling so well. Make it healthy and beautiful.
That's quality right there. Hold on.
It's not feeling so well.
Good feed. That's rock solid. That's good. Hold on. Is there another angle on this shit? Okay, so hold on. Back up. I think that we'll try this. Oh, shut up. All right, here we go. Cut that out. That's the chat room. There we go.
From the
Hey, the minute, Donnie. Here we go.
Outside.
Hold on.
And it's a great country, but we have to take it back because our country's not feeling so well. Get
I guess it's a ubiquitous problem. I guess everybody's stealing the same fucking feed.
healthy and beautiful and better than ever. And it's really, this is some crowd, and you can duplicate the crowd outside.
You can duplicate the crowd outside. Basically, you all look alike to me.
So if anybody would like to give up your seat, that would be okay. No.
I'm just kidding. Fuck those people outside. I'm going to jump ahead to this. Here we go. It's so funny. Those suckers.
Let's have a good time. Thank you very much, everybody.
It's going to be great.
That song gets me fired up every
It's so
time.
great.
It does. It's great. And both of these stools are the same height. Is it? Is Tulsi Gabbard 7 feet tall?
Lee Greenwood is so great. Great guy.
He is. He is so good. I'm so glad we're covering this.
Too.
Well, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
This is a very special evening for us all to have a conversation about some of the real issues that are facing Americans across the country.
Yeah, and I'm so glad she's there to breathe into the microphone to let us know how deeply she feels about it. This is a tough time for America. Also, Slouchy McSloucher Pants, don't let her touch you because she'll take your powers.
And that don't get talked about often enough. And I want to start with one that's very personal to me, hard to talk about sometimes. This is only the second time I've spoken about it publicly, but my husband and I were married almost 10 years ago. We wanted to start a family. We were very excited about it. Unfortunately, it was very difficult. We were not successful in trying to get pregnant. For us, IVF seemed to be the only option and the last resort. As you know, it's a pretty difficult process. It's very, very expensive.
Why would he know that?
I was in Congress at the time, traveling. I would carry the medicine that I had to administer shots to myself sometimes in an airport bathroom. And ultimately, the most difficult part was every time going to the doctor for another transfer and hoping that it would result in a positive pregnancy test, and then being heartbroken over and over every time that test came back negative.
By the way, this sounds like something she should be discussing with Tim Walz, because he would be sympathetic and understanding. As a matter of fact, he would know exactly what she's talking about. Trump clearly does not give a fuck. He has no idea what she's talking about. None whatsoever. He doesn't know where she's going with this. And they probably, again, she's part of the transition. She's supposed to be helping with debate prep. This is what this is. This is her. He won't sit down for debate prep. So they set up this town hall, give him an audience. And then what she's doing is like, I'm going to teach you how to handle these issues. That's what this is. She's just teeing this up so they can see what he's going to say, and then they'll go, fuck, that was terrible. So we're going to have to work on that. We'll do it again once more. Dead serious.
Now, I know some of your opponents, your political opponents, are saying that you want to ban IVF. While it did for us, it's worked for a lot of families. And I just know that there are women and couples in this crowd, or those who are watching here tonight, who may be going through this same struggle and are
and we're going to let the states decide. We're going to let the states decide. Because you are. You can't be okay with IVF and be pro-life. Not the way these people are.
concerned about being able to have this option, either because they might not be able to afford it, or they're concerned that it just may.
Sorry, you're going to suggest that this asshole is not only going to not ban it, but he's going to have the government pay for it?
May not be available, and I'd love for you.
Wait, Tulsi's 5'8"? Is Trump shrinking
You to talk to them
or deflating, I guess?
about how they should feel.
Well, thank you very much, Tulsi. And I didn't know about your situation. And it's tough stuff, right? Tough. Life is pretty tough.
Yeah, thanks. Wow. Way to get to the root of it all. What life? Wow. Life is pretty tough. But you got to be tougher.
It can be beautiful, but it can be difficult. We are doing something with IVF because IVF, as you know from friends and people you know,
She just fucking told you.
it's really worked out very well for a lot of people. It
It didn't work out for you, but you've heard that from other, I'm sure.
gave them a child when they would not have had a child. And
Right. We get what the point of it is.
I told my people I wanted to look at this a couple of weeks ago. And as you know, we have no taxes on a thing called tips. You know that? And
What? Where? What? She just told you a story, and I feel bad for Tulsi Gabbard. I do not like this woman, but that's a terrible thing to have happen. And I hope there's some point in the future when we, clearly meet escape velocity on aging, and people start aging backwards for a little bit, that she has another shot at this. And I hope if she still wants a child, she finds a way to have a child. That's whether it's surrogacy or whatever's available to her. But what the fuck is that? How do you follow up? Life's tough. It's a little tough, but we have a little thing called no tax on a little thing called tips. What?
no taxes on a thing called tips. You know that? And I said, tell me, we did
Tell me, do you have to tip the IVF Where is he going?
three things. We did that, and we did no tax for seniors on Social Security benefits. We want to have that. And I've been seeing a lot of IVF, and I kept hearing that I'm against it, and I'm actually very much for it. In fact, in Alabama, where the judge ruled against it, and I countered the judge and came out with a very strong statement for it. And the Alabama...
You were very quick in your response to that.
I was, but they were too. They were amazing. The legislature approved virtually my statement. I mean, full IVF. And
they approved, the legislature approved, so your statement became law in Alabama, is what you're saying?
it's really gone. It's terrific. And I said, so with the tips and with the Social Security, the no taxes on Social Security, I said, maybe for IVF, and I've been looking at it, and what we're going to do is for people that are using IVF, which is fertilization, the government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get or mandate your insurance company to pay for it. Right. We're going to do that.
So let me get this straight. Hey, pro-lifers, Donald Trump is going to get taxpayers / your private insurance to pay for hundreds and thousands of abortions, far beyond any that a woman simply could have by, getting pregnant and not carrying it to term. Because let's say they put 20 eggs through this process and 4 of them they try and they either give up because it's too much to keep trying, or one of them takes. You know what they do with the rest of them? They throw them out. Please, okay. If not for the shitty video that they're putting out of this, which I don't get, it seems to be that's a bigger issue. But I gotta tell you, like, the pro-life folks are gonna hate this, and he'll have no idea why.
I can't tell you how life-changing that would be for so many families, because it costs a lot of money. A lot of people go into debt just for the hope of being able to start their own family.
Well, it's big, and you know what? We want to produce babies in this country, right? We want to produce babies. So I think it's going to be some...
By the way, he's paid for several abortions, and his buddy Elliot Broidy took care of them to make them look like they were his.
thing we sort of announced it a little bit. We were in a great place, Michigan. We all love Michigan, right? We're going to bring back the car industry, and we're going to get a lot of it back to Michigan. They've been taking our cars away. They've been taking our manufacturing away over years, over decades. And if you look at it today, it's a shell of what it was years ago, but we're going to bring it.
Which car companies are you talking about? The big three? Or
back. Mexico is right now building massive car factories, actually being financed and built by China, and they think they're going to sell their cars back into our country. It's not going to happen.
Right, because the Biden administration put a moratorium on them?
It's not going to happen.
Because they tightened the rules on country of origin under the USMCA, which you loosened?
Oh, listen to that. That is not going to happen. But that's not going to happen.
Look at that. They're transitioning to a better camera because this one shit the bed.
Oh, listen to that. That is not going to happen. But so many things.
Why is that creep photographing Tulsi Gabbard's ankles?
Have gone wrong in the car industry. The union leadership has been horrible. I think I'm going to win by 85%, the union. But
nope.
Union leadership has been horrible. I think I'm going to win by 85%, the union. But because we're bringing it back. And we're going to have electric cars, but we're going to have gasoline-powered cars, and we're going to have hybrids. We're going to have every kind of car. We're not going with just that. But I just felt that...
By the way, she just told him a story about how she's unable to have a child. I'd like to remind everybody of that. This woman, who I am no fan of, bless her heart, just sat there and told him, and that crowd, I think the first time in public, expressed how she was trying to get pregnant through IVF and was having to inject herself with things while she was in, like, airport bathrooms. Just so you know what the setup of the question is. I don't want you to think he got off topic and is rambling.
It would be a good place to announce it, and we did sort of the announcement there a little bit, and now we do the big announcement tonight in front of all of these television stations, all of the fake news, you know, the fake, they're all over the place. They're all over the place. I don't know what's going on. We don't even know, I was saying, because we're doing this, and I finished, and I figured I was going to come here, and we're going to make a speech. I had a speech all set for you. I was ready. They said, sir, you're actually doing a town hall. I said, oh, nobody told me that. I said, who's
literally, that's what she's... All right.
doing it? They said, Tulsi. I said, well, that's at least good news. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, I have to tell you. So...
This is creepy.
So I didn't even know... I'm in the plane. And I'm looking over some material, and we're going to give you a hell of a speech tonight. We were set to give you one hell of a speech. They said...
Same shit. Looking over material. Hilarious.
No, sir, it's a town hall. I said, why doesn't somebody tell me this stuff?
Because you're a leader, and you know how to pick good people, and you know hashtag the best people. And a woman just told you she can't have a child.
And I don't even have any idea who we're doing it for. I don't know. Is it for a network or what?
No, don't talk about this. Oh, my God. This is just for... They're trying to get you used to talking to a woman in public without making yourself look like an absolute scumbag. And you're failing miserably.
I see a lot of television all over the place, so maybe it's on all of them. But
It's not. It's not on any of them. This is your campaign, shithead.
did get to see the strangest thing today.
Oh, dear. I did get to see the strangest thing. They were telling me something about I'm going to be on stage with a woman or
I
something.
looked at the news conference of Kamala. I call her Comrade. Kamala. She's you know that. She's a Marxist. Her father was a Marxist before her. So she was brought up in the family tradition. And she really is, and this country is not ready.
By the way, her father was an economist at Stanford who wrote papers on every form of economic system in the world. He literally devised the new system that Jamaica runs on. And it might be shocking for people to find out, but it's actually just a a market capitalism system. So, anyways, IVF, you were saying.
Ready for a Marxist. We don't want a Marxist as a president. And she destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California. And we're not going to let it destroy our country. I'll tell you, it's not going to happen.
So that speech I was going to give, basically that's the Cliff Notes. Anyways, what were you saying about your barren uterus and your husband's sorrow? Something about, I don't know, I glazed over when you were in the middle of bearing your fucking soul. By the way, I genuinely mean I feel terrible for her and her husband, and I hope one day they're able to have a child, but on a sort of political and professional level, Tulsi Gabbard absolutely deserves this from him. She chose this seat across from this man and chose to go into this with this guy. This is what you want. This is what you get. This is what you want. This is what you get.
But just to finish, so for some reason she doesn't want to talk to anybody. So she's either not the smartest light in the ceiling.
Not the smartest. How does that phrase go in my cobwebby brain? Light in the ceiling. Not the brightest light in the ceiling. Only a dim bulb would say it that way.
I'm trying to be nice here. I want to be. They say, be nice, sir, be nice. It's hard to be nice when somebody is destroying your country and wants to destroy your country. It's hard to be like nice. But,
by the way, Tulsi Gabbard, who, while awful, is capable, one believes, of at least some level of self-awareness. And you can tell from her blinking and her extended eye shutting that she realizes where she is and who is in front of her, and the night that is laid out like a runway into the darkness with no guide lights going off the cliff that is right out in front of her. Like this is a dark path into a dark forest, and there's nothing but the howls of unknown monsters awaiting her.
But she is. She was a terrible vice president. She was a terrible border czar, worst in history probably, not just in this country. But the border, millions and millions of people, I say 20 million plus, have poured through the border during their term. I had the safest border in the history of our country. They have the most unsafe border in the history of the world.
Neither are true.
And
I showed the chart, and if I hadn't looked at the chart just at that time, he'd have shot you in the side of the head, and it would have been a bigger target than your face.
Coming through, and many of them are from prisons and jails. There's a slight difference, as you know, prisons.
Is there? What would that be? What would the difference be?
And jails. Many are from mental institutions and insane asylums, and many are terrorists. And they're pouring into our country at a level. I don't know if you saw the news today, Tulsi. They had a lot of them, Venezuelan people with lots of machine guns taking over a building someplace. I'm looking, I'm saying, where is that? They went in and they took over a building. This is just the beginning.
All right. What? Hold on. I gotta hunt this one down. Okay, sorry. Venezuela, I don't know, like, machine guns, but I don't know, news, what the fuck is he talking about? Video shows group of men carrying Aurora apartment complex video shows group of men carrying guns at troubled Aurora apartment complex. That's what he's talking about. Okay, hold on. This would be what he's talking. New video is surfaced showing alleged gang violence at an apartment complex home to some migrants in Aurora. The video shows a group entering the apartment buildings with several weapons and then making their way through a door. The scenario took place at the Edge at Lowry Apartments, which became a reported crime hotspot in that city. In the video, men can be seen walking up a stairwell carrying weapons. They can be heard speaking Spanish. The owners of the video said it was taken shortly before a shootout at the complex that left one person seriously injured. Several vehicles were also damaged by gunfire. All the people appeared to be carrying rifles and handguns, except for one of the men who was talking on a cell phone. They all gathered around a door to go in. Another clip shows the two men forcing a door open, but what or who they were searching for is not clear. The video was shot in a building. Cindy moved out. It was a nightmare that I can't wait to get out of here, former resident Cindy Romero said. Cindy showed a series of locks lining her front door. Every day when we come home, we have to do this every time we go outside. Every time we go to bed at night, we have to keep this locked so nobody can kick in the door. The couple's car was riddled with bullets after a shootout at the complex earlier this month. Romero said that trouble started when a large number of migrants began moving in. They had not been able to move out for different reasons. We couldn't get any help. We tried reaching out to resources, but they told us since it was not a condemned building, we would have to wait until that was the issue, but we didn't want to wait for that. The only help I got was after talking to you in the news, I guess is what you're talking about. Aurora, Colorado, that's where the dude shot up the theater, which did more damage to people going to school going to movie theaters than the pandemic did. The city nonprofits have lined up to help migrants that have come here, but nobody is helping the Americans that are trapped in these apartment complexes. This is from the Fox channel there. This isn't just Americans. Jurinsky said the complex had been overrun by a Venezuelan gang. That's what he's talking about. This isn't just Americans. Other Venezuelans are being extorted by this gang, Jurinsky said. The Romeros told them the other people living in the complex have been asking when they'd be moving out. While on scene, he's told other people moving in and taking over the Romeros unit. Also helped another person find the city of Aurora. We previously stated established a special task force in collaboration with local, state, and federal partners to specifically address concerns about a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and other criminal activity affecting. Oh wait, why? Now here's the thing, if I may, and I think I can. Why does Venezuela stand out to me? Does anybody know? Let's see. Sorry, 1 second. Trump, let's see, Venezuela. One moment, Trump, Venezuela. Last day. That would be it. Okay. Yeah. Something about, sorry, what was he saying? Let's go. I'm going to jump back, clarify what he was saying real quick.
That they went in and they took over a building. This is just the beginning. They're taking their criminals from all over the world, not just South America, not just Venezuela, which you've been reading about, all over the world. They're taking their criminals and they're dumping them into the United States. Kamala is allowing it to happen. And they actually want to give them papers. They want to make them citizens, and they want to give them your Social Security. They want to give them.
Also, by the record, for the record, he when he granted that 18-month extension, that put them at the end of the line of a backup that had already occurred to, dealing with people's cases after the pandemic. So even the 18-month extension added on top of the next year or so of that. So the Venezuelans he's talking about that have shown up in here have not been processed, many of whom who would have been expelled, or some people who have been given asylum and moved someplace else. They start stacking up in places because Trump created this exact system. Just letting you know. So even if you wanted to kick out gang members, he added 18 months to you processing them. That happens after you've taken care of the other backlog that existed.
Your Medicare and your Social Security will collapse under her. I'm the one that's going to protect the Social Security. But
how? Sorry, that's the question you're not allowed to ask. Tulsi, ask him how. I'm kidding.
They're coming. I will totally protect, as I did for 4 years. And there was no age increase. There was no anything. We're going to protect. They destroy you with inflation, and then they want to destroy your Social Security. So it's not going to happen. But this is going to be the most important election in the history of our country. So I just want to say that.
She's like, just shut up. I've got cards here.
It's an honor to be with you tonight. It's a forum that's very different because
I didn't want to do this. My campaign people are trying to make me do this. But I have a rule about letting women ask me questions. It's very uncomfortable. I don't know why I allowed it to happen. I probably didn't. And if they'd have told me, I'd have told them to go to get the fuck out of here and go back to eating my fish delight.
I have no idea who the hell is broadcasting it.
It's not. You're not. It's live, stupid.
But all we'll do is we'll talk because we're friends. I love this state. I gave them Marinette. We gave them a very big, Tulsi, we have a ship contract. And
by the way, when he was talking about he was looking over details, that's what he's talking about, just so you know. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks' Mega Worldwide.
As you know, we gave Marinette yards, but we gave...
Yeah, he had to look. What was the name of that place? I don't remember. I didn't care at the time, and I don't care now.
Give them a tremendous contract. They wanted it all over the country. I said, we're going to get it for Wisconsin, and it's a big one. And they're doing...
So, wait a minute. So you could have spread jobs out over the entire country, but you decided to just put it in a swing state that's, on a Great Lake, but is effectively landlocked? Why wouldn't you put it on the west or the east coast if you're building battleships and shit? It's not impossible, but I don't know. Maybe the trucking companies, owe you money?
Doing a great job, I understand. So we got that. And we're going to have a good time tonight. So let's go.
Mr. President, you talked about immigration. We actually have Amber here who's quite concerned about that, and she's got a question for you.
Mr. President, hello. My name is Amber, and I'm from Cameron, Wisconsin. I have 3 beautiful children, and I'm torn on who to support. My young...
What? I would just go... they're all 3 your children. You have to love and support all of them. You don't get to sell 2 of them. Is that your question?
My youngest daughter is here tonight. My oldest son is 18, and he just started trade school this week.
Because of the Biden administration.
Very proud of him.
Yes. And of course, we're in a nation in decline, so he's not going to have a job because obviously this is terrible.
My concern is that illegal immigration is threatening opportunities for my children. I worry that it's taking away jobs from Americans. I'm wondering, what will you do about that?
Yeah, what are you going to do about it? We're going to just round them all up and kick them all out.
All right, well, it's great. I think I'll stand up and... Do you mind if I turn around? Thank you, Amber, very much. And you're right. I'll tell you, we have the people that I'm talking about. They're pouring in at levels never seen before. They're coming in.
And they're being kicked out at levels never seen before because it's a revolving door because of Title 42 and then the follow-up to that and because we don't have enough attorneys to deal with them, so they get kicked out and they get to try again because their case hasn't been adjudicated.
By millions and millions, and a lot of them are taking the jobs for the black population, the Hispanic population, and...
So I wouldn't worry about it, white lady.
Unions are going to be very badly affected because, and I was talking to some of the union heads who I actually do get along with, but they're very concerned about it because the jobs the people that are coming in are just taken, and it's going to start with the black population.
Jesus Christ. Answer her question, you fucking weirdo.
African Americans are losing their jobs, and I don't know if you heard the latest statistic that of the jobs that these people created, which is very little, every single job was taken about 107%.
Mm-hmm. 107% of the jobs were taken.
Was taken by illegal immigrants.
Yep, 107%. Is that a height thing? Is it are these immigrants? Is that how they're getting over the wall? They're just kind of walking up to it and stepping over. These are giants. 107%, ladies and gentlemen. 107%. At least that's what it said when he stepped on the scale before it exploded.
There's been no job creation from them. The jobs were filled by illegal immigrants. With all of that being said,
good luck to your son.
I want to give you a very positive answer. We're going to win this election. We're going to turn this country around. We're going to become an unbelievable growth country. And your boy is going to have the greatest job. And you want to have a lot of choice with jobs. You know, you want them to go up and they get up and it's hard to believe I have that the way I get treated. But I look forward to every day because we're going to make America great again. So I really do. I look forward to it.
That's right.
But we're going to create a lot of jobs. We're going to create. Does he want to stay here, or does he want to go to a different state or anything? Yeah.
Maybe ask what job he actually is interested in doing. Maybe tie it to an actual thing. Or are you afraid it will be in an area you are particularly you're hamstringing?
Someplace in the Midwest, but this is a good.
Yeah. Someplace in the Midwest. He wants to basically be around-ish.
Good place to stay, right? Wisconsin. So we'll be creating.
Wow. I can see that J.D. Vance has been giving Trump questions on or giving him lessons on peopling.
Tremendous jobs for our country, and we're also turning away. You know, we're going to be closing the border, really closing it. By the way, did you see? So Kamala was for defunding the police. She was for open borders.
No, she wasn't.
She was for everything that you're not against. I could go through.
She's for everything that you're not against. So I guess they should be happy to vote for her then.
Through 14 different.
Hold on. Say that again. So she's for everything that you're not against.
She's changed in every single one of them.
Hold on.
In fact, I think we should see the man and change in every single. She was for everything that you're not against. I could go through 14 different.
She's for everything that you're not against. I don't know. The Harris campaign should use this for an ad.
She's changed in every single one of them. In fact, I think we should see the man in the red hat and the beautiful woman in the red hat says, "Make America Great Again." Perhaps we should give Kamala a "Make America Great Again" hat, right? But the problem is...
this is also a thing that J.D. Vance would do, because the no tax on tips thing, his no tax on tips is generic. Hers is specific to hospitality workers. His would apply to politicians who could just say any money they get that isn't part of their salary is a tip. They don't pay taxes on it. She's saying, no, this goes to people you normally tip, not making up a whole fucking secondary economy.
That's not her belief. Her belief is open borders. Her belief is getting rid of Social Security. Her belief is doing all of these plans, like for health insurance, where you have one big government-run mess. And if you have...
Is that how you describe it? I mean, he's encapsulating the entirety of a legislative agenda in a few short, oddly arranged words.
Have private plans. A lot of the people in this room have private plans. They're incredible plans. They worked hard to get those plans, and that's what they want. But with her, she wants to have, it's really a communist type of government. And I just saw her, Tulsi, she was sitting behind a desk doing this interview. And I said, Dana Bash, you could make yourself big tonight. All you have to do is be fair.
Also, she's not sitting behind a desk. They're sitting at a table.
I haven't seen the questions, but they gave out a sample. In fact, she's going to be on later on tonight with a taped. It was a taped. We're doing it live. Why are we doing it live and she's doing it taped?
Because they couldn't get you to actually show up on time for a taped thing.
But
That's right.
Or this.
Right, he's real.
But she was sitting behind that desk, this massive desk, and she didn't look like a leader to me, I'll be honest. I don't see her negotiating with President Xi of China. I don't see her with Kim Jong-un like we did with Kim Jong-un. So
what do you mean? Shaking his hand, inviting him to the fucking White House and saluting his generals?
We're going to have to see what happens. I'll tell you what. November 5th is going to be
the most important. Okay. Thank God that he's not just saying the same shit and using these things as springboard opportunities.
The most important day in the history of this country. Go big.
And anybody think that lady actually had her question answered for her son? Because I got to tell you, look, I don't want to give this asshole any help. But I got to tell you, the first thing I would ask her, I would go, wow, 3 beautiful children. What trade is your son, if you want to tell me, what trade is your son working in? What is he training to do? What industry? Because, you know, where he moves and what opportunities is a big country, big diverse country, and there's a lot going on. You know, you could even joke about maybe he could work in my administration. Maybe we could set him to work with the Army Corps of Engineers. You know what I mean? There's something, there's a personal thing in there, right? He seems incapable of doing it.
Mr. President, there are a lot of people who want to feel hopeful about our future. I want to introduce you to Luke, who is one of those people.
Hi.
Hello, Mr. President.
Good-looking guy.
Thank you. My name is Luke Pulaski, and I'm a junior here at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. I'll be voting for the first time in November, and I'm researching each candidate. I have two questions for you. First, as I've been living on my own and buying my own gas and groceries, I have noticed that everything has become more expensive. For me,
I've also noticed that Tulsi Gabbard is 5'9", and you are 6'3", and I am 6'7". What the ever-loving fuck is going on here?
personally, I try to eat healthy and stay lean. A pound of meat has gone from $4 to almost $7. I also would like to buy a home someday, but that seems just impossible now. What's your plan to make life more affordable and bring down inflation?
Let me guess, drill baby drill?
For someone like me.
Very good. Thank you. Good. It's probably the question I get most. You know, they say you're going to vote with your stomach. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's a little bit true. And
It's a little bit true. That's why the Democrats keep trying to give everybody school lunches, and then nobody's hungry, and they're harder to scare.
groceries, food has gone up at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We've never
Yeah, we have.
seen anything like it. 50, 60, 70%. You take a look at bacon and some of these products, and some people don't eat bacon anymore.
And who would those people be?
And we are going to get the energy prices down. When we get energy down, you know, this was caused by their horrible energy wind. They want wind all over the place.
No, we did not shift to fucking wind. You cannot pretend that we didn't come out of COVID, you weirdo.
But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem. This was caused by energy. This was really caused by energy and also their unbelievable spending. They're spending us out of wealth, actually. They're taking our
They're spending us out of wealth.
wealth away. But it was caused by energy. And what they've done is they started cutting way back. We were in third place. When I left, we were by far in first place, beating Russia, beating Saudi Arabia.
And now we're producing more oil and gas than any country in the world, and the highest we ever have produced.
And we were going to dominate to a level that we've never seen before.
But is it a level that we've never seen before? What level have we never seen before? I'm just saying, is there a baseline? Or
And then we had a bad election. I'll be very nice. I'm supposed to be nice when I talk about the election, because everybody's afraid to talk about, oh, please, sir, don't talk about the election, please. You know.
Yeah. Tulsi's one of those people. She's trying to keep you functional through the rest of the, like, I'm for it. Keep jabbering, asshole. It's just like now Fox has to cut away and Newsmax has to cut away, and anybody who's got a fucking Smartmatic or a Dominion lawsuit has to cut away. Well done, dum-dum.
If you can't talk about a bad election, you really don't have a democracy if you think about it, right?
Or there are laws about lying. Yeah, rules about lying, especially when it comes to campaigning and defamatory statements about other people. By the way, for the record, he can keep saying all this shit all he wants. He can. But the networks that carry it can get sued by the people that, like Shane Moss and Ruby Free, who've, their lives were endangered because of these lies. Smartmatic and Dominion can sue these networks for the lies that you are telling because you are lying. And they can't sue you for lying because you have the free speech right to lie. But nobody else owes you a fucking microphone. And if you carry it, they're as responsible for saying it as you are.
What they did, Tulsi, is they took back the oil production the oil started going crazy. That started the inflation. Then
No, it didn't.
they went back. They said, go back to where Trump was. The problem is that we would have been 3 times that level right now. We would have been so dominant over Russia and Saudi Arabia.
Wait a minute. How? How would these production companies, the oil producers, how would they actually produce 3 times as much oil as they're producing right now? Why would they? You think they just want to go broke? What are you paying for? I mean, do you think it's in their best interest to have 50 cent a gallon gas? I'm dead serious. How do you make that happen? What happens? And I know there are ways to do it. Absolutely. Government subsidies. That'll keep the price down. Is that what you're talking about?
Arabia. Look, Saudi Arabia, Russia, a lot of oil. We would have had more. You know, we had something in Alaska, Anwar.
Yeah, we have liquid gold under our feet.
That I created. I mean, Ronald Reagan wanted it. You remember?
Sorry, you created Anwar, the American National Wildlife Area and Reserve or whatever. Yeah.
Remember, Ronald Reagan wanted it. They all wanted it, and I got it approved. Nobody was able to get it approved. I got it approved.
And it was part of the reason you lost, and the next president rescinded it because people were like, "You did what now?"
And the first week in office, they turned it back. They said, no, it's the biggest site possibly in the world, could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. Well, we're going to start that up. We're going to become the energy capital of the world. We're going to pay down our debt, and we're going to reduce your taxes still
Who's we, motherfucker?
further. And your groceries are going to come tumbling down, and your interest rates are going to be tumbling down, and then you're going to go out, you're going to buy a beautiful house. Okay? You're going to buy a beautiful house.
So oil production is his answer. That's how he's going to do it. He's going to all of our. And by the way, this is also the system they used in Venezuela. That was their economic idea too. Venezuela, that was the plan. Massive oil production, state-controlled oil production. It did not work.
That's called the American dream.
The American dream is not resource capitalism based on just a glut of oil under our feet. How?
American dream. Thank you.
Mr. President, I want to ask you a question about national security, but first I think it's important to point out what Luke is talking about: the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of housing, mortgages, rent, everything has gone up. Kamala Harris's plan that she has announced is government price controls. And I think it's important to touch on, you just laid out your plan. What's going to happen if Kamala Harris institutes price controls?
Yes, let's hear what price control are. Now, I would argue that the Harris price control plan seems to be something along the area of controlling how fast prices can go up outside of inflation or something. That's it. You know, they're not going to say eggs have to cost a certain part, or like 6 staples and they all have to be under a certain amount, or they're available at that point, or subsidized by the government in case they aren't, that kind of shit. So I don't, they're misunderstanding any of this stuff, and they intend to. That's not the problem. What I want to hear from him is how he explains what price gouging is, how it happened, and whether it exists at all.
So that's a communist plan. It's never worked. And it's been tried by others. Believe it or not, Richard Nixon tried it. A lot of people tried it. It's been tried many times, and it always leads to the same failure. Tremendous inflation, lack of product. You don't have anything. The stores are not stocked. It has never worked. It's called control. They want control.
It's called control. They want control.
And, look, it's been so often. And everybody.
It's just been so often.
That comes in, they say it. It sort of sounds great. We're going to go price control. Actually.
Sorry, every president that comes in says we're going to go price control. Really? Is that how it works?
When she announced it, she got absolutely slaughtered by even Democrats because it doesn't work. It's a known loser. So now she doesn't talk about it. Do you notice she doesn't?
because they're not going to do it. They're describing a limit on how fast you can rise prices without a secondary reason, like bird flu and eggs.
Doesn't talk about climate change anymore. She's not talking.
Just, yeah. Fuck that question about price gouging. Let's go over how many they've changed the name on climate change.
About it. You know why?
Hold on. They don't talk about climate change anymore.
You notice she doesn't talk about climate change anymore? She's not talking about it. You know why? Because people don't want to hear it. They want to live a good life.
Because they've already passed two of the most extraordinary environmental laws in history. The Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure bill have more investment in clean energy and an electric car grid and all that kind of stuff, higher than any country in the world. She doesn't have to pass anything else. We just got to hit the marks.
They want to live a life. They don't want to stop your industry with climate change. They used to call it different things, global warming. Remember, that wasn't working because it was getting a little bit cooler. So they said, what are we going to do? We'll call it global cooling. No. So they came up with the words climate change because that takes care of everything.
Okay, he watched a Rumble video that Don Jr. showed him, just for the record.
Climate change. The climate's changing, but according to them, we're all going to be gone in about, what do we have, 3 years left? They had 12 years, remember? So in about 3 years, let me tell you, we do have a problem, though. It's climate change, but a different kind of...
Nuclear climate change? We're all going to glow in the dark?
Climate change. It's called nuclear.
Right. We're all going to be bombed to death, and right.
Global warming. We can say that's global warming. And if we don't have a smart president, you have 5 nations now with pretty massive nuclear power. Some have very massive, including us and Russia. China's behind, way behind, but within 4 or 5 years they'll catch up. And we don't want them to catch up. Look, the biggest problem, in my opinion, the biggest problem our country has, the biggest problem.
What would it be? What's the biggest problem our country has? Comrade Kamala. No. Illegal immigrants. No. Shit. What's going to be? What's the biggest? What is women in charge of anything? That's got to be up there. The biggest problem we have is stupid people. Woke. Yes, woke could be it. Let's see. I'm excited. This is, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Donald Trump is about to give you the worst thing happening, the biggest issue, the most important thing. Here it comes.
The world has is nuclear weapons. They are.
All right. So we're just going to, so the focus of your presidency next time will be nuclear deproliferation. If you can ever figure out how to pronounce that word, right? So if that's the most important thing, how do you golf until you've handled it? Is the obvious follow-up.
They are a destructive force, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before.
Obviously, you've never stared into the Ark of the Covenant.
And we have to make sure they're never used. We have to make sure it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but don't you have to have the threat of it, right? Didn't you say to Kim Jong-un, you both got a button, but yours works, right?
Exactly right. You brought up Ronald Reagan already. Ronald Reagan famously said, a nuclear war can never be won and should never be fought.
That was actually Joshua who said that. I'm paraphrasing, but it was like right after he said, greetings, Professor Falcon.
I think it's interesting you talked about climate change, Mr. President. The Democrats...
Same thing is true of tic-tac-toe, though, I would just like to say.
And Kamala Harris, they were quick to talk about how climate change is an existential threat. But
do you know what the word existential means? Everyone here has been waiting in the hot sun all day, and it's a lot. We'd love a good laugh. Please explain to us what the word existential means to you.
What they're not talking about is the existential threat of nuclear war and World War III, which is exactly where we sit today because of the warmongers and their puppets, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And they don't want to talk about it because we didn't start it. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning in the world. The consequence of where they have taken all of us is the American people.
By the way, do you get the feeling that he feels like right now he's debating her? Like, why is she allowed to drive this conversation? Also, is he sexually aroused by her? Is that why he's trying to fuck the stool?
People in the world is economic hardship around the world, a destruction of our economic well-being, and an annihilation of humanity, our families, our kids, our communities around the world. There was a recent poll that YouGov did that pointed out over 60% of Americans feel that World War III and nuclear war is going to happen within 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, but in all fairness, they asked him that right after they walked out of the last Terminator film. And I do mean walked out.
And when I heard that, I felt so sad because they're at a point.
Because I want them to fear immigrants. And you know,
Point where they feel like this outcome, the annihilation of the world, is inevitable. So I wanted to ask you about this because it's important that people.
By the way, most of this poll was done at Burning Man, by the way, where people dress for Mad Max.
Understand what kind of leadership you bring, what you will do to stop this slide towards nuclear war and World War III, so that we.
Let me guess, it never would have happened if I was in office and we have stupid people in charge. And but when we get in there with me, you won't have World War III. But these people are stupid.
Can feel hopeful again.
Well, it's too late, actually. It could happen any second now, and we're all doomed. So I don't even know why we're even bothering to talk about this. We should all be in a hollowed-out cave or in a kerosene tank that we bury in the ground as a fallout shelter.
Well, thank you. So, Viktor Orban, a very strong leader from Hungary, Prime Minister.
Oh, yeah, that's the country where nobody's allowed to have a gun, and they have price controls on stuff. And anyways, sorry, you were saying.
Hungary. They asked him recently about what's the problem in the world.
Not recently.
A few years ago, during my term, we had we didn't have Israel being attacked.
Yeah, because even Hamas was afraid of catching COVID.
We didn't have Russia attacking Ukraine.
Right, because of contagious disease.
And they asked him, why is it so bad now?
We were also still in Afghanistan. We were still bogged down in Afghanistan. We were still that part. So.
Middle East is on fire. So many places are on fire, and there are plenty places that
Minneapolis
could very well and very quickly catch on.
Portland, there's nothing left to burn. Hashtag rip Portland.
What's the problem? He said, you have to bring Trump back as president of the United States. You will have no problem. He single-handedly kept things. And it's true.
No, it isn't.
And I could do it with telephone calls by being smart, but.
All right. Okay, I know somebody else can work the phone and hand it to you. How define being smart?
Literally, he said you have to bring Trump back. Now, he used a term I wouldn't use. He said everybody was afraid of Trump. You know who was afraid of Trump? They said China was afraid of Trump. Russia was afraid of Trump. They were all. And I don't want to say that. I will say this. They respected me and they respected our nation. They don't respect our nation.
They thought you were nuts. They also didn't think you were in total control. And they thought this deep state bullshit that you talk about actually exist. So even if you didn't want to do something, he would absolutely, if you didn't want to launch, they would launch on your behalf.
Anymore. They don't respect our nation anymore. Think of it. What would the world be like if Russia didn't do what they did, and they would have never done it? I used to speak.
They were in the Donbass the entire time.
Speak to Putin about it. I had a very good relationship.
And I said, Pooty Poot, don't do it. Don't, when you do it, I'm telling you, if you do it, I will stop giving you a reach around.
No chance. You know what happened, I think, Afghanistan, when he saw.
Right, this is the same story.
The horrible leadership that we displayed in Afghanistan, I think he.
Also, why were we still in Afghanistan after your term? Also, who lets out 5,000 enemy fighters before we leave?
Said, wow, this is a time to go in, because I was.
Which was by the way, a terrible conclusion to come to. Totally wrong. It's cost him 600,000 dead Russians.
There, he would have never done it if I was president. And
He wouldn't have had to.
Israel would have never been attacked. Think of
They were always attacked. Like literally, Israel had rockets fired at it every week he was president.
it. What would this world be like? You wouldn't have had that disaster. And it wasn't leaving Afghanistan. And they should have kept Bagram. That's the big
All right. Yeah, of course, it wasn't leaving because you were never going to leave. How do you leave and keep Bagram?
air base. It's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons.
It's also completely surrounded by ISIS-K. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take a bunch of our soldiers and a bunch of airplanes and shit and park them in the middle of the desert in 118-degree heat, surrounded by ISIS-K, and hope they don't need any resources?
Didn't keep it. You know who occupies it now, Tulsi? China occupies it.
Yeah, how are they doing?
So we have, if you have the right president, and we don't right now, do we even have a president? He just came in, think of it. He just came in from wherever the hell he went. You know, there was a coup. He just doesn't know it yet. But there was a coup. How about that? He got 14, I'm not a fan of his.
Right, he said this a bunch of times, too. This is the same shit.
He was the worst president. But think of this.
Wait, what'd she say? Tulsi, what'd you jump in and say?
He got 14 million votes. She was the first one to leave, you know. Kamala was the first one to quit.
Hold on.
But think of 14, I'm not a fan of his. He was the worst president. But think of
What was that? Did anybody understand what she was saying?
this. He got
What?
14 million votes. She was the first one to leave, you know. Kamala was the first one to quit. She never made it to the first state
Think it was, you're not?
in the primaries, which was Iowa. Never even came close. Other people did, but she never even came close.
Like Tulsi?
And all of a sudden,
That literally did worse?
she was picked, and she's now running for president. And look,
Well, then you shouldn't have a problem, right?
it just started, really. It just really started. The polls have us up here. We're up in states, but it's close.
Yeah, you didn't like saying close. Suddenly, we're moving in on him, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason why he's leaning on the chair. Nothing says strength like hiding your penis behind a stool. And you know, folks, we don't have love today.
It's close. It's close, and you know they cheat like hell, so we don't want to have it too close. But we have to win this. We're not going to.
You're not going to win.
Have a country, but
He's not going to win. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. You're going to lose. You know you're going to lose. You're aware of it. Dude, you didn't even know what your event was. You think your team has it together enough to win a fucking election this time? They lost last time to people who weren't even in office.
But with him, I was so far up. We had a thing called. How did he do in the debate? Did you think he did well? Not too.
We had a thing called a debate, which is what he was going to say.
No,
Right, he sucked in the debate is the point. You didn't do well. That's how, and he didn't lose any numbers to you.
They wanted to have a debate.
His numbers still improved after the debate, even as bad as it was.
I said, okay, it's a little bit early, isn't it? I was trying to talk them out. I said, well, it's a little early for a debate, right? And they said, well, I think we'd like to do it. And that was not a good debate for them. That was not a good debate. So that was the beginning of the end for him. And they started looking. But they picked a woman that had absolutely no votes. She got no votes.
She was part of the team that won the election.
And now she's running. So when you
She got the same number of votes as Biden did as president and vice president.
say threat
Dude, you couldn't even keep your VP.
to democracy, they are a threat.
Sorry, what was that word again?
Now she's running. So when you say threat to democracy, they are a
Oh, democracy. It's a different thing. I don't know. Maybe, you know what? In all fairness, maybe Biden and Harris are a threat to democracy. I wouldn't even know how you'd go about just by being inaccurate. You can destroy democracy.
threat to democracy. I'm not a threat to democracy.
Okay, that's settled.
I'm not a threat. Thank you.
I'm not. You're a threat. I'm not a threat. Thank you. What was the question again?
Mr. President, crime and the rise of crime is on the minds of a lot of people. I want to call on Danielle here, who has a question for you.
Hi, Daniel.
This is great. So if I was like well-oiled machine. Also, is his zipper caught on the chair, or is he just pooping? Is that what's happening? I think he's peeing. I think this is what he does when he has to go and he can't leave.
Well, you need, you get a lot of those questions from Minnesota, but you get a lot of those questions because Minnesota, I mean, they picked this guy. He is weird.
Oh, nice try.
Right? He's weird. I'm not weird. He's weird.
All right, that settles it. Fucking hell. Boom! Mic drop. I'm not weird. He's weird. Yeah. I look. Who am I to say he's got the best words? He's a master communicator. It's not that his followers and a good chunk of the media are gullible assholes who give him far more credit than he's due. It's not. He's just got some kind of a certain kind of magic.
No, he's a weird guy. He's a weird dude. You know, see, they come up with sound bites. They always have sound bites.
Yeah, that's what the Democrats are known for. Clean, concise messaging you could fit on a bumper sticker. It's always been that way.
And one of the things is that JD and I are weird.
Yeah.
That guy is so straight. JD is he's doing a great job. Smart.
JD is so straight. Thinks he doth protest too much. Really?
He's so straight, JD.
That guy's so straight. I gotta say, that seems like a bit of a concerned Freudian slip. That's the kind of thing you say when on the plane you were just asking somebody, is JD really gay? I'm serious.
He's doing a great job. Smart.
He's so not gay, you know? He's definitely not. He's doing a great job being not gay.
Smart. Top student.
Top student. Yeah, that means a lot right now.
Great guy, and he's not weird, and I'm not weird. I mean,
yeah, right. Stop asking.
We're a lot of things. We're not weird.
Right. Both of us might be serial sexual assaulters. Me with real living women, and him with sofas. You do not want to take this guy to an IKEA. It's a fucking nightmare.
I'll tell you, but that guy is weird, don't you think?
Don't you think it's weird? What's a word that comes to mind that's insulting and really I would like to, that I feel bad when I hear it. I'll just use it on him. Weird.
He signed for, and this is, who would think that this is even happening in our country with men playing in women's sports and all of this, but he has it at a level that nobody can believe. A bill that every boy's bathroom will have tampons. Okay. Hence his name, Tampon Tim.
Yeah, it's sort of meant as a compliment. So no trans kid ever has to worry about it, but we're not worried. Again, I think they should be in the nurse's office and freely available. Watch for the Harris administration to get rid of the pink tax permanently. That'd be good.
But think of it.
I gotta say, one of the primary first things I would introduce as part of my legislative agenda in the Sparks administration would be either a rule where feminine hygiene products would not be taxed at all on the federal level, and that you would be reimbursed for any state tax put on them. So even if a state decided, screw women, we're going to charge tax on it, you'd get an income tax rebate on them. Just saying. That's what I would do. Yeah.
But think of it.
Okay. I'm cool.
And on the question of abortion, he is the one. Abortion in the 9th month. And if the baby in Minnesota, and I'd love to win Minnesota because those people aren't digging this guy. They're not digging it.
They elected him. They totally dig him.
But think of this.
Okay, I'm thinking.
6 states, Minnesota's one.
By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. It's a bit of a late show because we started late, and I hope that's okay with you guys. Yeah, is it all right with you if I ride this thing out? You don't have to stick around. I understand. If you want to watch part of it later, or we'll chop it up or something like that. But this is Trump didn't even know what the fuck he was doing, so there's no way I could. And I'm just going to ride this out. And if you need to go get a bite to eat, come back. I'll still be here doing my fucking job.
One of them. If the baby is born, you're allowed to execute the baby after.
Jesus Christ! All right, Tulsi, you are failing. You're failing. You're supposed to stop him from saying shit like this. No, you cannot execute a baby after it has been born. Not anywhere. That's murder. Always has been. You fucking oddball.
Think of that. After.
Yeah, by the way, don't say he's weird, I'm not weird, and then say something fucking bizarre like that.
Birth in Minnesota, you're allowed to execute, and you.
No, you are not. Just for the record. No. If anybody out there, like a woman who's pregnant or a crazy boyfriend, if your girlfriend gives birth at home because you were trying to hide the pregnancy and then the baby's born, you don't get to fucking throw it away and go, what? Trump said it was legal in the state. It's not.
You remember the former governor, not the current governor, who's terrific, Glenn Youngkin. We're going to win maybe Virginia. We could do that. But the former governor, and he said, you sit the mother down and the father down. You sit them down and you talk.
The woman just had a baby. She's still sitting or laying down.
And the baby is born and you make a decision what to do. He meant, do you execute the baby?
No, he didn't. He meant, how long do you try to resuscitate a baby with no lungs or half a brain or no bones or not a spine? Good Lord.
After birth. And according to what they have passed and legislation, in Minnesota, they're allowed to execute the baby after birth.
No, they are not. This is so fucking nuts. And by the way, the law is the same in Wisconsin.
And this guy is a participant. And that's why she picked him, because she is, in fact, a Marxist/communist. Remember, I'd say all the time, our country will never be socialist, right? We will not have a socialist. Well, I was right. We skipped socialism. We went to communism.
No, we did not. We don't have socialism or communism. We have democratic taxation for programs that the people think are important. And all of those programs, even the ones that have the word social in them, like Social Security, are not socialism. If you get Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, you do not go to a government hospital staffed by government employees. That would be socialism. You don't take turns working at the fucking hospital to pay off your debt for any of the medicine that you needed. That would be communism.
This woman has to be stopped.
What the fuck? Okay, all right. Again, I'm for this, I would like to say, for the record. I think this is magic. And I'm so glad that they decided to spring this shit on him, because it just showed, you want a prequel of what the debate's going to be like? This is it. You have mics open with Kamala Harris talking to him. This is the kind of shit he's going to say. He can't stop. He can't stop. And any independent watching this is going to go, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Oh, thank you. Yes, 71,500 subscribers. Hit that like, by the way, and subscribe if you would. Subscribe, everybody. Share out the show and subscribe. I'm just saying subscribe. Subscribing helps. It does. Helps me. Helps the show. And it doesn't cost you anything. Just saying.
Mr. President, we have time for one final question. I don't know if we can get...
Oh, thank God. Mr. President, I'm getting the sign from the rest of the campaign, because you went from zero to fucking dumbass in one question.
Get a mic to Bernardo.
Yeah, Bernardo, I'm telling you, buddy, I don't think you're going to want that mic.
He's got an important question. Given very soon we will be honoring
Communist?
the anniversary of September 11th and all of the lives that were lost on that tragic day and that tragic attack where...
You don't have to tell him. He was down at on 9/11 in Ground Zero cleaning. He was out there with a broom pulling people out of the rubble and admiring his building that was now the tallest building in on Wall Street. And then he was from the view he could see, standing on all the rubble, he could see people in New Jersey dancing on rooftops.
We were attacked by radical Islamist terrorists, and Bernardo wanted to share his thoughts and had a question for you on this.
Was 9/11 an inside job?
Mr. President, my name is Bernardo.
Oh dear.
I'm a voter here in Wisconsin, live in the wonderful La Crosse County here.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry I have to do this. Hold on. Bear with me. I need a picture of this guy because they're not putting him up there. So, where's a good? Yeah, here's a good picture of him. Okay, now back up to Bernardo.
Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is Bernardo. I'm a voter here in Wisconsin, live in the wonderful La Crosse County here, and I'm also a father of 8. I have 7 here with me.
Oh yeah.
And it's the anniversary of 9/11 is coming up. I'm concerned that we're more vulnerable now than ever. And we have a Democrat nominee who doesn't even want to say the words, says we shouldn't say the words, radical Islamic terror. How are we going to protect America from a terrorist attack?
First of all, it's a great question. And, you know, we have radical Islamists pouring into our country along with everybody else right now. They're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We kept them out. We had one year where...
No, we don't. By the way, did I nail that or what, everybody? I'm just saying that fucking, if I may, that Bernardo guy nailed the Dahmer voice. Just saying. Hold on, let me grab this. There you go. That literally sounded just like the guy from the series. Yeah. Yeah, also, yes, everybody who was involved in 9/11 got into the country legally. Just saying.
We have radical Islamists pouring into our country along with everybody else right now. They're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We kept them out. We had 1 year where Border Patrol put down...
Okay, by the way, there is no fucking way, and he even says this, like he doesn't buy it, but there's no fucking way it was a year without any terrorists, quote unquote, getting in the country, or that you could even prove a negative like that. It's just goofy.
It was, I believe, 2019, where they, and I don't believe this, I don't believe it's right, but...
why say it?
I'll take it. They said 0 came in 20, that was my term.
No, you caught 0, which means if any came through, all of them got in.
0. Now we have thousands. I'd like to say that was true. It's probably not because I can't imagine that. But we were very...
Right. No one can. So shut the fuck up about it.
That. Now they have thousands and thousands coming in, along with the prisoners and along with the crime. And remember, a lot of these countries like Venezuela, their crime...
Venezuela, you were saying? Something about... what was that? About Venezuela? There was something about Venezuela... Remember what about Venezuela? What am I supposed to remember about Venezuela? Just real quick. What am I supposed to remember about Venezuela? Okay, go ahead. Sorry, he had you saying something.
...is way down because they've moved their criminals into our country. It's not even believable. But your question on Islamists and all of the jihad and all of the things that they talk about. They have to
yes, all of the jihad and the things that they talk about.
Respect your country. They have to respect your leader. You know, I had no radical Islam crime for 4 years.
I had no radical Islam crime for 4 years. Okay. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Try to do the. What's this? Hold on 1 second. See what.
And I didn't want to talk about it. I wanted to. I talked about it after, but I didn't want to talk about it during. I don't want to say like I had absolutely, and the next day you get hit. But we had none, 4 years of it, because they respected your president, they respected your country, and we have to bring back that level of respect, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and we're not letting the wrong people into our country. Okay, thank you very much.
By the way, I was trying to look up the shooting that happened during his thing, but literally because of Trump's shooter, everything goes straight to, like, the news is just full of the stuff about Thomas Crooks.
Great question.
Thank you,
It's a terrible question. What the fuck are you talking about? We haven't had one during Biden either. You better fucking, I guess, hope that between now and the end of the year, till now in January, something happens, because Biden hasn't had anything like that.
Mr. President, I know you have run out of time here, but thank you for having this conversation with the people.
Wait, what? How? No. Why has he run out of time? He goes up there and when he thinks it's a rally speech, which he did, he thought this was going to be a rally. He was planning on being, he just talks until he's fucking tired of talking. He's not on a schedule, dum-dum. Let him keep yapping. You guys were like, fuck me. He said the whole fucking execute a baby. Cut. All right, back to one.
People of Wisconsin and people across the country who are watching and concerned about these very same issues. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you
everyone
much
for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Vote. Vote. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Jesus Christ. Gay anthem. Da, 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 da. Gay anthem. Thank you. Ew. And they had to cut away because he fucking, rub up on her. Is that what's happening? It's the tail end of it. Hold on. This would be
our wonderful RSBN
immigrant.
Smart. You sit the mother down.
Okay, so hey, glad hands with the people that have been selected on the stage. Man of the people. Right. Blah, blah, blah. Squirt in my hair. There you go. Thank you very much, everybody. YMCA. Okay, thank you. Front row Joes. Bye. Okay, that's it. Cut me short. Off you go. That's it, kids. I thought this was going to be a lot longer, but they pulled the plug.
Secretary of
now,
State, somebody.
Before we get to before I sign
Okay,
off,
so if...
Hold on, shut up. And I don't need that either. So real quick, I just want to see with you guys a piece of the Dana Bash interview, which will start, well, I guess it's already happened, or it's starting about now. So you guys will go watch that. You know what? I'm going to let you guys go because it's 6:30 already, which means on the East Coast it's already airing. I will cover this later, and maybe tomorrow morning we'll go over some of the other stuff. I got to get in a car and drive to LA anyways. So tomorrow, Flappers, Patreon people, there will be a live stream of the live show. What am I going to talk about? I don't know. Because I do an hour of improv stand-up. I don't prepare at all. I used to write like a crazy person. And then I got so good at writing it down that I was like, I feel so secure in this. Not like that. It's not a tightrope anymore. You know, I don't want to lose interest in my art. So now I at all the flapper shows, I just go with whatever I feel, and I do something that everybody else is afraid to do, which is stand up with no prep. So I'm as excited to see what I'll say tomorrow as anybody is. And I guarantee, this is what I will say. I will stand any of my flapper shows up against any special on Netflix. Any of them. Even the worst one. Even the one where I was sick. Tomorrow's show, I don't even know what I'm going to do. And I will tell you that it will be as good or better than anything on Netflix. I'm just saying. And our patrons get the first view of it. And I'm not even going to prep. I'm just letting you know. I just might, and we'll see, I might have a special guest. The kidney might be there, but I don't think that.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Oh, all right. Well, I got very confused there. I'll see you tomorrow. I gotta drive. Hit the like on the way out, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else.